Making good trouble through humor and song. Woo, I love it. Today's guests prove that age doesn't dim the fire, it redefines it. The Piedmont Raging Grannies are a collective of legendary women, I think they're legendary, who've turned protest into performance art, promoting peace, justice, and equality through song, satire, and sheer guts. For decades, they've shown up in aprons, bonnets, and all to remind the world that wisdom isn't quiet and that laughter can be one of the fiercest tools for change. For me, I actually think it's intelligent activism. From climate marches to women's rights rallies, these legendary elders keep proving that activism doesn't retire. It just gets louder, braver, and funnier with age. Woohoo! I am so excited to have the Piedmont Raging Grannies on this podcast today. Welcome, ladies. There's a bunch more than you, however, and I know you've got chapters all over the place, but I'm excited to speak to you four this morning. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's so cool. So, you've seen for decades movements that come kind of rise and fall. What's changed for the better, and what still makes you furious? Ooh, who's going to answer
Ooh.
that one?
I can start. We all know that it's only been about 50 years now here in the US that women have been able to get their own credit card and sign their own mortgage and other, civil rights like that that have always been available to men. So there's been some progress in that way, but in the last couple of years, and especially this year, we are now seeing our rights stripped away from us again. When Roe v. Wade fell a couple of years ago, um, and now they're declaring professions that mostly women work in to be non-professions, which makes it harder to get student loans, which will keep a lot of women out of those fields. And it seems that the goal is to push us back into the home, and take away our power. So it's been really frustrating and infuriating to have our autonomy over our bodies and even our livelihoods threatened again and again.
I know it's crazy to think that we still have to be doing this fight in 2025. I actually
Again.
I started this podcast the start of this year because I lost hope when those kind of changes started happening in the US at the start of this year. I actually said to my wife, I don't want to live in this world. I've been fighting for women's rights for 40 odd years.
Yeah.
I can't watch us go backwards like this. And she said, we have to continue the fight. And I thought, you know what? This is one way I can help feed the conversation and get our wisdom out there because absolutely. And the silly shit that happens over there, we see scale down over here too. So
Mhm.
thank you for doing all that you do. I'm curious, what initially lit the fire in each of you to go, I'm going to be one of these raging grannies? I want to hear from you all. What was the initial, I have to use my voice?
I'll speak to that. I think the what made me a raging granny is that I saw my grandchildren's rights being eroded, that my granddaughters don't have as many rights as I had. And my husband and I worked, volunteered for Jimmy Carter back in the 70s. So that's how old I am. And and we campaigned for the ERA back then, and it still hasn't passed. But when they started talking against LGBTQ and trans persons and treating them like they were non-humans and that they were mentally ill, I have two trans grandkids and numerous LGBTQ family members and friends, and I think that's what made me the angriest, was to see that. And now, I mean, and it just kept going from there. So
Mhm.
that's what got me interested in the grannies.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big old dyke, so I really appreciate you being an ally. I got kicked out of the Australian Army as a young soldier when I was 17. They were trying to kick me out.
Wow.
It's just so I've been fighting ever since for our rights. So thank you for being a great ally. All right, I'm curious, why did the rest of you choose to be a raging granny? I want to hear from all of you on that one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
here we go. Margie's got a hand up. Oh, Margie and then Joni. Go for it.
Okay.
okay. I became an activist at a time when my mother was in assisted living, and my sister and I did everything we could possibly do just to get her medicine every day at the right amount. And it was seemed to be an impossible task for this facility to do. And we were really outraged. We went through the county social services. They declared it unsubstantiated, even though all you need is a calendar and the prescription, and go talk to the pharmacist and you'll know, unless Jesus Christ was there, the medicine was not. And and we went to the state, who initially said we don't audit county, and then finally I got a lawyer involved, and they had to retrain the county social service people. And then when we moved to years later to another facility, darn it, didn't the record show that the problem still existed? So I left the facility to go to the Bernie Sanders campaign in Greensboro. I got there early. There was a line really, really early. And he said, it's not what I'm going to do, it's what you're going to do. He said that to the audience, and he asked that to get involved in politics and social work at every level. And so I did. Next thing I know, organizing a precinct. I didn't know what a precinct was. I just walked into the room because somebody said you should do this, and they handed me an envelope, and all of a sudden I was an activist in the Democratic Party. And from there it went, and that's so we thought it was going to be fun to release our tension from all this. It's like you in politics, you're pushing a stone up a hill against the wind, and you get tired. And we thought, well, this is a great respite. This is a good way of letting off steam. But it didn't turn out that way. Yeah. It is good respite, but we never dreamed that we would be talking to somebody in Australia about what legendary women we are.
You are legendary women. And really serious. I thought at the start of the year when I went, I have to fight, but we have to fight differently. We need to have an intelligent activism nowadays. Yeah. Because just doing the fucking stop it doesn't work. Yeah. And it just doesn't. It just gets their back up even more. And so for we need to be able to be heard. And when I saw you ladies, I went, so intelligent. And I've been following you heavily ever since. So, all right, who's next? Why did you become a raging granny?
Mine was when I was in my teens. I traveled in Eastern Europe over a summer. That was in '66. So the Berlin Wall was up and all of those kinds of things. It made me realize how important it is that we look at people as people, that we all have some of the same emotions. When I went to college, I was a political science major and mostly international affairs. But I helped to organize rallies during the Vietnam War time. And we actually got 4,000 people marching at that point. And throughout my time, I think it's really important that we look for ways that we can respect folks, but be able to speak for what we believe. Yes. And I had decided that if nothing else, if they wouldn't let me vote in 2026 or 2028, I was going to be at those polls, and I was going to be there, and I was not leaving. They would have to carry me out. Well, I go to the Y to get exercise and that kind of thing. And I had my hat on, and Linda came up to me and said, how would you like to be in the Raging Grannies? And I said, sure. So I went to the next practice, and they've been very kind about allowing me to be part of them. Yeah. It's something I can do that can make a difference, but I don't want to wait until I have to confront somebody.
I love it so much. Joni, why are you here?
Well, I'm not really an activist per se. I've never been out there. I think I burned my bra at a party that I was at. They had all the women threw their bras in there. It was a lot of fun.
I would have done that.
So I'm outspoken in that way, but not really as an activist. I'm an engineer, and I worked back in the 70s, and where I was just the X out of field of O's, and or O's out of X's, whatever it is. But I was all by myself, and I had to fight for myself, and I didn't have any mentors. But then finally, I ended up leaving because of the sexual abuse. And I think most women at that time in the man's field, they didn't know how to be. Who am I? Kind of, well, I'll put my earrings on in the morning so I can face the truths, and then when I get home, I'll take my earrings off and I'll be myself. And I just couldn't do that anymore. It was just too hard. And so when I left in the 90s, I went home and I was listening to Anita Hill on the TV with Clarence Thomas and all the sexual abuse there. And I sat there and I cried and cried and cried and cried. It was like therapy for me. And so since that day, I just became stronger, and I wasn't going to be shut down anymore. And then when Trump comes in with all of this DEI and all of these people to shut them down, I said, I can't let that happen. I know how to take, because I was still in the working career as an engineer for many 20 years still, and I learned how to be strong and respectful and polite, but yet firm. Like, what did you say to me? I'm going to give you one more chance to say it, and then then we'll figure out what the consequences of your act.
I like that line. I like that line.
Right, Anita Hill.
Anita Hill and Ruth Gaynor and all of they were my mentors. And so when this comes, and I have two daughters that are engineers, because they're smart, not because they're women, not because they want to do something different than what a woman does. And now I have two granddaughters, just like Linda. All of this was taken away, and all I could see that our rights as women were dissipating, vanishing. And then I had the strength to start dialing up and calling all of the congressmen. And then I saw the Piedmont Grannies, and I said, yes, I got to go and be part of it. Because they were here. I mean, I was traveling all around Piedmont trying to find Tom Tellis's office, and I could never find it.
You found the grannies.
I found the grannies instead.
Ah, you're meant to be.
Yeah. I still haven't found it.
You haven't found it. No, but you found the grannies. All right, Granny Fairy, you're the last one. Come on. What's your
okay? So
granny?
Well, I first got started being active in politics back when Barack Obama first ran for office, and I was so hopeful and excited about what he stood for. And so I started phone banking and writing letters and postcards for his campaign. And of course, he won, and everything was wonderful for 8 years. And then when Trump got into office the first time, I started taking my granddaughters and other family members out to the streets and helping to organize these little tiny rallies. I lived way up in the Northeast then, and in a town of 2,000 people. So they weren't big events, but I felt like it was really important to have people show up in small towns as well as big cities when there were rallies like that planned. And then I was down here, and things have just been getting worse and worse politically in North Carolina. And I went to an event in Greensboro. I think it might have been a reproductive rights rally, and saw this group called the Triangle Raging Grannies singing. And I was just blown away. I loved what they were doing, and they made such a good point in such a good way, visually, everything. And they always invite people up afterwards to talk to them and maybe become a granny too, if we're interested. So I went right up and I said, hey, I'm a singer-songwriter and I play guitar and ukulele, and this is just right up my alley. And so I joined, and kind of grew up from there.
I love it. So you ladies, you've reclaimed the word granny, and you've made that age itself is a radical act. So what does it mean to you to be powerful, visible, and loud in a world that often expects the little old woman to disappear. I love that you are so fucking loud. Whoever wants to speak into that, go for it. But what is it?
Well, you know what they say about when you get older and you have less bleeps to give?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
I kind of think that's where we're at. We're just like, you know what? We are not taking this lying down. We are older now. We feel bold. We have more time. We don't have to go to full-time jobs anymore. So we've got the time. And, we also feel like we are speaking up for those who have daily obligations that prevent them from getting out on the streets and doing the kinds of things that we're doing. We're trying to speak for everybody, and the environment too, all kinds of social justice issues. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Anybody else?
My girls are so excited that I'm part of this and speaking out, and we just can't be shut down. We're not going to be silenced. And the more they try, the more angry I get, and the more I sing louder. And I just love all of our songwriters. They hit the mark in every song.
So
and then
clever.
I throw my arms over and I point at the audience and I said, yes, that.
Well, all right. Who wants to brag on their age? I'm curious. I'm 64. Who wants to brag?
I'm 64 as well.
Yay!
I'm 71.
71.
I'm almost 75.
68,
it looks
75.
like I'm the senior in the group. I'm 76.
76. Margie, you're the wisest of us all.
That's
Love
right.
it. I would so be amongst you all if I lived in the States. All right.
That would be great.
Over here, we've got the knitting nannies.
The missing
knitting nanas.
Oh, the knitting nannies, love it.
Oh, okay. That's great.
They did some great work a few years ago to help block basically fracking in some of our places. They just sit and knit.
Awesome.
Knitting.
I love that.
I used to talk about knitting a revolution, and nobody knows what I'm referring to when I talk about knitting a revolution, but I bet you do.
Yeah, it's over here. It's a peaceful
was,
protest.
Tale of Two Cities.
Oh, the Tale of Two
Cities. And the lady, she's knitting every you go through, and this lady's knitting, and you wonder, what is this all about? And the lady's knitting. She had to decide. She was recording everything that was happening through its code in her knitting.
No.
Oh, wow, you have a good memory.
Oh, I love that.
I think that song and comedy all go to lifting us up above the ugly stuff. It gives us hope. We hope we can help other people gain hope from what we do too.
Patricia, I was about to ask that. What helps keeping your activism joyful? Because it's a heavy topic that you're all fighting on. What is it? So song and community and stuff?
Yeah, I think that it puts us in a frame that takes us out of can take people out of some of the prejudice that they have. Mm-hmm. They can enjoy the song. They can see the humor. They can, and it tends to seep in, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's
interesting
an intelligent way to get heard.
When we show up at an event, we're dressed like these sweet little old ladies, and then we start singing, and we use familiar melodies. So people hear the melody and are like, oh, I know that song from my childhood. And then they realize the lyrics are not the same. And we have one song that we always say we like because it lets us sing about all the things we're pissed off about. And it's called Now You've Pissed Off Grandma. And people just laugh just at the title because, we're a bunch of these like finger wagging old ladies telling people what's what. And the humor and the music together, we have found just totally unite and inspire these crowds of people that we sing to and with in a way that I don't see anything else doing in the same way.
We also express our love for each other. When at all of our sing practices, we listen to each other, we comment on the words, we say that's a little too radical for us or not. How about if we change it around this way? And a beautiful product of love comes out of our practice every single time.
I imagine.
And we know people understand the words when they laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you get heard so well. It's amazing. So some people think that people, as we age, that we should slow down. You've sped up in the coolest ways. What do you say to someone who thinks that activism is a young person's game?
Look at all the protests. Who do you see protesting? Gray-haired people. We've got time. We don't have to worry about getting fired from our jobs because we say something that somebody doesn't like because we're retired. So we can do and say what we want. We can go where we want. We used to have, I think retired people used to have a little extra money, but I don't think we do anymore. But what have we got to lose? And we're doing this not for ourselves. We'll be dead when all of this stuff washes out. We're doing this for our kids and our grandkids because they're the ones who are going to pay the price for this shit show that's going on right now.
Yeah.
I agree. It's a shit show, Linda. And I love that. Yeah, we can. We use, and we do hormonally for women anyway, as we age, as estrogen drops, our pleasing factor disappears. We don't have to nurture the same way. It's actually a hormonal change in our body. That's why we care deeper about all the kind of things you're caring about now. However, we don't give a fuck because it's a hormonal change in our bodies. And I love that. That's it. I feel a responsibility to the women and the people who come behind me to.
Oh, we do too, for sure.
Yeah. Well,
and we're setting a good example as well, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
teach them how to do it.
Exactly, because we learned from the others in the day. I mean, I remember seeing all of the protests after Vietnam War and all of that, and it just kept going and going. And so we are now showing how the young people to voice their concerns and stand up for their rights.
Yeah.
And we get thousands of comments on our videos across our social media accounts, and so many of them are from younger women, raising families or pre-raising families or whatever. But what they say is, oh my God, this is my life goal. I can't wait to do what you're doing. And now I know what I want to be when I grow up. And, just things like that. And that's really heartening because it's nice to know that we are giving some inspiration to people. And even if they can't do something right now, they want to try at some point.
Yeah, and so for everybody listening, have a look wherever platform you're listening on, because I've got the links to all of the social media places that you can follow these legendary women. I promise they will lift you up in your feet and at the same time fire you up for life. So yeah, make sure you check out all the links below wherever you're listening. I don't care. I've got the links everywhere. So I'm curious, ladies, sisterhood. As of age, sisterhood is so important to me. And with inside your granny circle, what do you do to hold each other and lift each other up through burnout, grief, the backlash that can come from this stuff? What do you do to mindfully lift each other up, be there for each other?
Sometimes it's a phone call. Sometimes it's a hug. Sometimes you'll see somebody walking in the door to practice and they're clearly feeling bowed down by something in life, often, our political environment here. And just, you'll say, would you like a hug? And so you have a hug. Or, we check on each other. We go out together, some of us, after our meetings, just to talk, get to know each other better. And it has been a lovely sisterhood.
Yeah.
I'm in a new position as a caregiver for my husband. He's just been diagnosed with mild vascular dementia. And I haven't been able to make all of the meetings, and I can't leave him alone too long. And the sisterhood, the grannies, when I get a call from someone and just say, "How are you doing? We miss you." It just means so much to me. I can't tell you how much I love that and love you.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing we do. We tell each other we love you.
Yeah. Gosh, I love you, women.
Yeah.
You're epic. Epic. Make me cry. You make me cry.
Love and joy.
Beautiful role models. You are beautiful role models for women in life. You really are. Yeah, thank you.
It's love and joy and hope that are going to get us through this.
Yeah.
That
So
gives us the impetus.
what keeps you, what gives you hope for the future? You know, peace, planet, justice, all those things. What keeps you hopeful for the women who are people or people who are coming behind us, the next generation?
The young people today give me hope. They're more giving, they're more accepting. I think we've got an awesome generation of young people coming up. My grandkids are amazing. And the older ones, the younger ones, I don't know. We'll see. But the younger ones are they're just amazing people, and they give me hope.
Nice. Anyone else want to speak into that?
I think that the hope partly comes from when we're together, but it also is when we speak on our own too and say, well, I'm a member of the Raging Grannies. Would you like to hear about them? Would you want to be a part of it, or what are you going to be a part of where you can make a difference? And I think that again, going back to the comedy, it takes it to a point where you can really talk to people about things instead of it being challenging. The words and the music are from the music is familiar to people as we were talking before, but the words are different. But it's comfortable. It gives other people hope too, I think.
Nice. So we see some crazy shit on our media here. We have no idea what's truth nowadays, but some not nice stuff happening to people over there in the US around protesting and stuff. How do you deal with fear? Because you're facing police lines and public criticism and the exhaustion of going out there relentlessly still doing it. How do you deal with that fear and stay grounded and not get lost in it and, you know, to hold yourself back?
I'm not afraid.
Ooh,
Martin Luther King said, if you want a cause to succeed, you have to be willing to die for it. And that's how I feel.
yeah.
Mhm. And I remind myself that we are the majority. There are more of us that feel the way we do than there are those who don't. And a lot of those who don't have been intentionally misled with misinformation.
Mhm.
So I always have hope that they're going to figure that out and find out what the truth really is and then act on it. And that is happening. We hear that more and more all the time. People are saying, wow, I was duped. None of this is true.
Yeah.
So it is a little scary every time I think I would say when we go out, you wonder, am I going to be safe? But we feel very supported by our Greensboro community, by the police here, by the people who um, keep us safe at these events. I feel like we're lucky in that way. It's not true everywhere,
Mm.
um, but I think it just gives us a peaceful feeling about what we do, and we just feel so determined and so strongly that what we're doing is the right thing. And then we just have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
My strength comes from my faith.
Hmm.
And one of my favorite passages is Joshua 1, verse 9, where it says, have I not commanded you? Almost kind of like a sarcastic start to this verse. And he goes on to say, be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go.
Mm.
When Joni.
Yeah. I've done my TED talk that I've done that will be released in a couple of months' time. It's about women using their voices and, you know, that we were silenced and so many women kind of bought into the game and continued that. And it's about
Mm-hmm.
women standing the ground and doing exactly what you're doing. And I was asked, because they're making a documentary about us from that TED project, I was asked, you know, what's your ultimate goal? It's like, I want to end up on the US pissed off list because I start a revolution of women to stand up and go, no. It's like, I agree. We have to be prepared at this age anyway. I guess I'd never, you know, the hormones stopped me from thinking that there was that careful factor when I was younger that now I'm just like, nah, life's too short. I'm on that second half. I have to use my voice. And if I piss off some people on the way and help bring better change to the world, I'm prepared to put my ass on the line, the same as you do. So thank you to keep showing up.
When we're actually doing what we do, we're not thinking about being afraid.
Yeah.
It's afterwards. It's when you're alone at night and you're thinking about all the horrible things you're seeing on the news, and you're afraid not to do anything.
Yeah.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Agree. The fear of me not using my voice is what moves the fear for me to use my voice. I 100% agree, Margie.
Yes.
It's big. It's big. Yeah.
Yeah, the consequences of not speaking out are so much greater than for those that might happen if we do speak out.
Yeah.
So we just that drives us a lot, I think.
Yeah. Agree.
Yeah. I'm afraid of what happens if we sit back and don't do what we're doing or what we can do, whoever is, if all you can do is write postcards or call, whatever you can do, you better do it, because when you meet your maker, that's the question that's going to be asked. What did you do? And if I have to say I didn't do anything, I just sat back and let it happen, then that's what I'm afraid of, and I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Yeah. When Jane Goodall died, I saw a piece with her, and she said that because I've held such a responsibility for years since I learned about the suffragettes back in 1906, that in England they helped to get us the vote, start that revolution in the late that century before and stuff, and legendary women. I learned of them when I was in my 20s, and I've held a responsibility in myself since to continue their fight. And so I've mindfully, been living that and felt that a really heavy responsibility a lot over the years. And Jane Goodall gave me peace, because she said life's like a jigsaw. She sees that life's a jigsaw. She has to do her piece for the gorillas and the critters of the planet. We all have to do our piece. You doing your piece your way is vital to the jigsaw getting completed. I do my piece my way. If every person, as you say, send a postcard, ring someone, if we all do our piece, the jigsaw gets complete and we bring change to this world. However, if we keep our mouths shut, there's a piece of jigsaw missing. So it doesn't matter how small you think your piece is you're contributing, it's vital to that whole picture of change in the world. And I went, thank you, Jane. That was the best gift I've ever had. I realized how important, and that's why I just went, I'm going for this podcast I want the wisdom of all these women to be shared, because they're all part of the jigsaw. Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we do with our platforms, online on our social media accounts, is to share the work of other organizations and folks like you who are out there doing things, so that people, not everybody can be a raging granny, but there might be other things they can do. Simple things like using apps to call their senators or whatever. So we want to share what the other possibilities are so that people can find their way to be a part of this.
Love it. So I'm curious, I want to hear from all of you on this. If you could gather every woman of your generation, I don't even say your generation, if you could gather every woman in one room, what truth would you want them to hear before they leave this earth? What would you want to say to every woman? I want to hear from you all.
Good question.
I would say that you make a difference. You're strong, you're loving, who you are, how God has made you. You have a talent, you have a skill, and you make a difference.
I would say you have power. You are powerful. And if you weren't, they wouldn't try so hard to take it away. So don't let them.
I think I would say you are enough.
I think I would say we all have work to do, and that work should lead us to a better place, not to a place where we go backwards. And I would say, you take your steps, I'll take my steps. Some we'll take together, but I will support you in your trek through life.
Well, if I was in a room full of all the women in the world, I'd be looking for the exit. Um, I would just say, don't take your love with you. Give it out while you can.
Love it. All right. So I'm going to put a twist on that question. If you went back to your 18-year-old self with the wisdom that you've got today in your 60s and 70s, what one piece of advice would you give yourself as an 18-year-old?
And I guess I would say, be brave, be courageous, do not settle. Go for what you want and, hit the road, do some traveling, figure out who you are before you do anything else. Take some time to figure out who you are and what you want out of this world.
I'd say be flexible. You don't know where you're going, and you certainly don't know where you're ending up. And don't be afraid of not knowing, because that's the biggest thing about being young is you wonder where am I going to be in the future? We already know where we're going to be because we're here. And I don't think any of us, I would never dream that I'd be living in, I didn't even hear of Greensboro. How did I wind up in Greensboro? So yeah, you have to be flexible because you don't know what's coming, and you just need to keep your focus on what you think is the best decision that you can make at the time with the information that you have. And if you've got good values, you'll end up on your feet.
I would say your journey is not like anybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
You walk that path that you're called to.
Mm-hmm.
And a large part of that in anything we do is to help others and be a part of things going on with others. But be true to what you're called to.
I would say eliminate should and ought from your vocabulary.
There's a
They're two of
therapist.
the worst words in the English language.
Dangerous.
That's a good one, Linda.
I love it.
I used to know someone who used to say, "Don't should all over yourself."
Yeah, well, I say that to my clients.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I would say that God has a beautiful plan for you. And all the love that you have inside will be shared with others. You're going to give them strength and encouragement and inspiration. And you're just going to pave your own path of joy and beauty and wonder.
You are spectacular. Spectacular. Role models for life. Seriously, it is such a joy to meet you all. You make me cry. Please promise me when you gather to next time together, give each other a big hug from me and from all the women who listen to this podcast. It's interesting looking at statistics this morning for the podcast, and I am being partially blocked in the US.
Oh my goodness.
Already. Yeah.
Well, so are we. So welcome to the club.
Yeah. So anyone listening to this, if you know someone in the US, share this podcast because they are already trying to shut me down over that way. Canada,
Good for you.
flying in Canada, the US, they've already got me partially locked up. So even more important for us all to keep using our voices so that the women over there and everywhere get to hear what's possible and for them to keep hope. And you help give me hope for the world. And I know for so many women, and we're going to get more people following you so that you can continue your work. And if anyone wants to become a raging granny, how do they track? Because I know you've got chapters, you've got a system in place to help teach women how to do this. Who wants to tell me how people find information out about that?
They can go to raginggrannies.org, And there's a location button, and you can look to see if there's a gaggle near you, as we call our groups. And if there isn't, there's a starter kit. So you can start your own Raging Granny gaggle wherever you are around the world.
I love it. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I love you all dearly, and I look forward to following your adventures in the future.
Thanks so much
you.
for having us, and thanks for all that you do.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
Yes.
important.
Yes, thank you so
Wonderful
much.
to talk with
We
you.
will be
Thanks,
able to
ladies.
hear you.